So usually I don't buy things on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whatever, unless it's like, I don't know, I need a new phone and I'm waiting until that time to get a new one. But I found these garden beds that were $12 each. Metal garden beds, especially if you're getting them kind of in the spring or around the season, they're like anywhere between like $30 and $50. So $12 is really good. There were two garden beds, one was silver and one was green. The silver one was pretty like straight up. It had all of the like dimensions. It was pretty like straightforward. But the green one had 3 different sizes listed. Also, the pictures were all wrong. So even though it was $12, I didn't really know what kind of garden bed I was getting, but we're gonna open this mystery box and find out what these garden beds look like and how they compare to the ones that I already have. So let's do that now. Usually like a center support. Maybe these are 70 inches. I think this is the big size. Oh, I'm very excited about this. Okay. So it does feel like this tin is very thin. So something very annoying about this garden bed, and really Amazon in general, is that I did not find this by searching for garden beds on Black Friday. This was a garden bed that was already $25 that was in my cart, and I just noticed that it had a Black Friday discount to 50%. But when I tried to search for this garden bed just to get a link from the homepage, it would not come up. I think Amazon was hiding this from the homepage because it's a very good Black Friday deal, and Amazon exists to make money. This garden bed is large, but it's still small enough that I think I can do this inside. So let's go inside, because it's getting cold and dark. It is indeed 70 inches, I think. Should I measure it? Look at that. It's done. Oh. Doesn't look like the frost was too bad. So I was thinking here, or you can set it down there for a sec. So I kind of feel like I need to be able to access it from both sides, like right in the corner.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It does fit perfect. But because I was thinking about accessing it from both sides, can we see what it looks like right here? And then maybe putting the other one in front of it?
Here?
Yeah.
You can walk between.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think that could be nice. Yeah.
And then it definitely gets enough sun. You see how the shadow of the fence perfectly lines up with this garden bed?
Yeah.
It's intentional.
Oh.
Because this is so the shadow is perfectly along this garden bed, which does mean that this area is really good for like root vegetables. Mm-hmm. But yeah, what do you think about that?
I like it.
Just a little bit closer. That's probably okay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it lines up with the house here. Yeah.
I think that's good. And then it also still leaves enough room for the landscapers to be able to get in. Mm-hmm. I cannot for the life of me find my camera battery, so I'm recording this on my phone. But I want to show you some of the cool stuff that I have going on in the backyard because I'm reestablishing my garden space. And this is one of the few occasions that I am awake before 9 a.m. So it's not 1,000,000 degrees outside and I can comfortably walk around and just show you the stuff that I've got going on. Okay, so let's go outside real quick. So as I mentioned in a previous video, I have been trying to work with hydroponics, which is growing in water rather than soil. And these are the things that are growing relatively successfully to a degree. I need to change out a bunch of the water on this and add water. Basically, I've realized these containers are too small and it's getting to the point where I'm having to constantly change out the water. So I need to switch to larger containers like this. So I'm using all of my old
milk jugs to provide enough water. So this one's a cucumber plant. You can see that it's kind of putting on fruit. Unfortunately, this one didn't get pollinated. Also, I think it doesn't have enough nutrients in the water, so that's another one that I need to switch out. The growth on this is pretty stunted. That's why it's so short and so compact. It needs more nutrients. Same thing with this one, another cucumber. Over here, I'm amazed that this zucchini is doing as well as it is. Look at that. With this nothing amount of water, it's growing really well. And then these are bean stalks, seeing one of those little red spider mites. And then intraveinal chlorosis, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, that means that there's not enough magnesium in this. So this is an okra plant that is gonna need more nutrients soon. And then also look at how well this thyme is. So this is from a container of thyme that I bought for $6, and I split it into 2 bits. One of them I put in water like this, which you can see is full of mosquito larvae. Not great, very annoying. But they're also getting stuck, so hopefully they'll just drown and die. The one that I put in soil died, but this one is throwing off new growth and is like very happy, and I'm amazed. Very impressed by this thyme. These I need to move. These were in a different thing, but it fell over, so I need to move these. These are vine peaches and some zucchini. Slightly bigger containers, so they are doing better than some of the other plants. But here, you can see the garden beds. As you can see, none of the garden beds have soil. This yard has a lot of leaves because it's got some very big trees, so we've been filling all of these with the excess leaves. This is a cabinet someone was throwing away. It's very old. It was clearly used outside, so I'm just going to turn it into a deep garden bed for probably potatoes, or maybe taro root. I'm not entirely sure yet. That is probably only going to last a season, maybe 2. It's very cheap wood. And I also ended up bringing my garden beds. I wasn't originally planning to, but we did bring them. These are some new ones that I put together, and then we've laid cardboard down so that the weeds will die and not grow through. And then I've also built this I've built this little trellis. The squirrels keep climbing on it, birds keep landing on it. This yard is constantly filled with squirrels. It's really a problem, and it makes me worried about growing tomatoes because apparently squirrels will eat tomatoes. So I don't know, I'm gonna try and figure that out. But yeah, this is where I'm going to be growing like tomatoes, cucumbers, anything that needs to be trellised. And then at some point I'm probably also going to put a trellis over this one, but for now it doesn't have one. So the next step is to put some leaves in these, although I might just fill these all the way with soil because they're only like 6 inches tall. So these might be very shallow beds. I've also considered doubling them up and putting this one on top of that, but I'm not sure yet. I'm still deciding. But yeah, we've brought the garden beds. The only thing next to do is soil. Do you see that? Look at all those mosquitoes. Nasty. Also, that is unfortunately the mint that died. It's basically a mint. It's like a Thai mint. But I've been relatively successful at getting this to grow. I believe this is a yellow Brandywine. I know it's a yellow tomato, but I'm not entirely sure if it's Brandywine. I think it is. But this one's doing pretty well. I'm really happy with this one. And then that's like a red cherry tomato from last year, which I'm amazed is still going. That's just rainwater. I've like left that out to the universe and it's still alive. You can see where the wind broke it at one point. Inside is a whole jungle that I need to deal with. A lot of these need to start going outside, but again, I don't have soil. Like these tomato plants, these all have roots. These are ready to go outside, but I just don't have a place for them at the moment. These potato slips, I have been working on these since last year. Again, look at all this nice growth. Needs to go outside. My lovely lemon tree, look at that. It's like 3 inches tall. The stem, not the, maybe like 4 inches. Here in like 2 or 3 years, it'll actually be able to produce flowers. So this is my baby for now. So I think it was maybe a heat wave that came through. I'm not entirely sure why all of the pumpkins and squash died, but this watermelon is doing fantastic. It is a little yellow right now, which makes me think that it needs a little bit more nitrogen, but look at that. I think it might also be throwing off roots, and that's part of the reason that it's doing so well. But yeah, I've got watermelons coming in. Look. Oh, it's so nice. There's another one there. It's currently August, so my gardening situation is very up in the air right now. A lot of stuff has died. The watermelon that I was really excited about, specifically because it was a Moon and Stars watermelon, the main reason that I wanted to get one to grow was just for seeds, because I don't have that many seeds, so I just want to be able to, you know, be able to make more plants in the future. Divine Peaches did incredibly well, considering that I'm growing in water and I've never done that before. I managed to get 6 vine peaches. It's finally getting to the point where it's deep enough in the summer that it's starting to cool down earlier in the morning. So if I wake up early enough, I can spend time outside and not be miserable. Unfortunately, that means that there's like 90-ish days left in the growing season before the first frost. So a lot of plants have kind of already eliminated themselves just because of time. So I can't really start any like pumpkins or gourds, unfortunately. However, it is also a good time to start doing cold season vegetables like leafy greens and root vegetables. So most of my plants are inside right now, but I do want to show you some of the things that I have going on outside. I am getting better at growing things in water. Let's go outside before it gets too hot. So I've got this little area going over here. It doesn't get the most sunlight, but it has been good for just kind of experimenting. So this is actually a peach tree that's a gift. We're not keeping this. And then my partner's mother gave me a bunch of rosemary, and it's transplanted really well. I'm glad that it's alive. I was so afraid that it wasn't going to transplant because a lot of them look like this. She gave me quite a few, but these two transplanted really well. This one is some kind of flower. I have no idea what it is. This one was just a gift. And then this one is jasmine. And then these are hydroponic things. So this stick has like a float on the end, so you can see that it pops up and that shows me the water level. Right now they're very full. This one is a zucchini and then this one is full of corn. These are 5-gallon buckets. We'll see how they work. I believe this is called the Crackety method. And then an apple tree, which is not happy. I've got a bunch of sage. I'm so glad that it's doing reasonably well. Taro root. This is actually a basil plant that my neighbor gave me. Basically, I'm just taking care of it for them because they have a new baby and this is an easy thing to take off of their plate. Yeah, it's doing much better now that I've put it outside. And then this is a tart cherry tree. So this is that Thai mint that died. It reseeded itself, and so I've just kind of been embracing it and trying to take care of it. I think it still has enough water in there. But yeah, it's doing surprisingly well. I'm very happy with that. These are the flowers, and if you break them off, it encourages the plant to grow outward rather than up. And that's how you get all these wide branches. And then this is what I've currently got going on. This is what's left of the melon, unfortunately. I need to cut this back. It's still trying, poor thing. I took some cuttings to try and transplant it, but they did not work out. And then I can show you something very interesting. So this is a pepper plant that I started at the beginning of the year. Peppers are technically perennial. You can grow them like trees. So I'm planning to make this bell pepper mobile so that I can bring it inside. Look how small the root system is. It's tiny. And then I have cucumbers. So I do have enough time left in the season for cucumbers. So I've got 3 cucumber plants growing. I had another one over here, but that one died. It's working much better in these old milk jugs. Thank you for pollinating my flowers. A friend. That's good to know they're being pollinated. So anyway, what I was gonna say is, I'll wait for him to finish. So this is the color that the leaves are kind of supposed to be. This kind of like dark green. But if you look over here, this is another one of the cucumbers that was planted at the exact same time, but I didn't have a place for it, so I just threw it into this, which is a container that didn't have any like fresh fertilizer and nutrients in it. So this is one that was planted at the exact same time, but do you see how lime green the leaves are compared to those ones? That's because there's not enough nitrogen in this, but you can see the difference between a malnourished cucumber plant and healthier ones. Also, because this plant is struggling so much, the bugs are loving it. Another thing that is worth pointing out, do you see how these leaves are all like nice and flat? They're very strong. But these ones over here are kind of falling. Do you see how they're a little bit wilty? Most likely, yep, see that's empty? It's because it needs water. I can just tell, yep, that one still has water. These two are running out. I can tell at this point if there's water in these jugs based on how the leaves look. I'm getting better at understanding the needs of these plants. And then the other thing that I've got growing in these containers is okra. And this thing is getting too top heavy and they keep trying to jump out. This was actually in an okra rainbow mix, and you can see how this stalk is green, so most likely the okra is going to be green, maybe like an emerald. This one is kind of pink, which makes me think that it could be like a mix or an Okinawa pink okra. And then this is one of the old ones that was in the smaller containers that was dying. But look, it's actually thrown off an okra pod, which I think might actually be big enough to pick at this point. I definitely have enough okra seeds, so I'm gonna eat this right now. That's very good. Yeah, so I'm gonna go get some water and fill these up so that they aren't miserable all day long. Here on the inside, I have a new houseplant and it's pink, very exciting. But also, every single one of those is a lemon tree, including these little guys. And then my big lemon tree has actually thrown off its first branch. It's struggling to grow leaves though, which apparently means that there might be too much fertilizer. So I'm kind of trying to like rinse out the soil a little bit at this point. As far as the garden goes, that is mostly what I've got going on right now. But that bushel gourd that I grew like forever ago, it was finally dry enough that I could crack it open, and I did get footage of that. So from what I saw about drying these gourds is that sometimes they mold, and that's just a natural part of the process. But listen, do you hear that? So I thought I was going to have to use a Dremel to cut the top off, but I was able to do it with just a razor. And now this is what the inside looks like. And now I have a bunch of bushel gourd seeds. Very exciting. I have infinite seeds. This is really all I wanted to show you. I just had a bunch of footage from throughout the year that I hadn't really gotten to, and I wanted to throw it in here so I could show you all of the progress that has happened over the course of a couple months, considering that it's not that much because I'm still developing the garden space. I'm having to start from square one. Thank you for hanging out with me. I will see you guys later. Goodbye.